everyone. Welcome to a deep dive all about play and how it impacts child development.
Play is so important for kids.
It really is, and that's what we're going to be exploring today.
I'm excited to get into it.
Me too. For this deep dive, we're looking at some really interesting research from academic books, even a study appendix all about play therapy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's perfect for you listening in because I know you're interested in using play therapy as a resource for the kids you work with.
That's right. Understanding the research can make such a difference in how you use it.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with, what is play, really?
Right.
I mean, we all know it's fun and games, but these sources are saying it's so much more than that.
Yeah, definitely.
They mention all these different types of play: pretend play, fantasy play, symbolic play. What's the difference?
So they are all connected, but the fascinating thing is for young children, fantasy is basically interiorized play, and play is the externalization of fantasy.
Whoa.
They fuel each other. So this means, if you're working with a child who loves imaginary worlds,
Right.
encouraging their pretend play can help them develop their inner world even more.
Oh, that's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like their inner world is bursting out into the real world.
Exactly.
But it's more than just imagination, right?
Right.
The sources also mention cognitive, affective, interpersonal processes.
Oh, yeah, those are huge.
Huge. What do those even mean?
So play, it engages a child on multiple levels.
Okay.
Think of it this way. The cognitive part is like building those thinking skills, problem solving, planning, understanding symbols, things like that.
Right.
The affective part is all about emotions,
Right.
how kids express, regulate, and process feelings.
Okay.
And then the interpersonal side, that's where they learn social skills like cooperation and reading social cues.
It's amazing how much is going on in their little heads when they're just,
Oh, yeah.
playing with blocks or whatever.
Purple world.
And speaking of amazing, these sources really emphasize how play helps kids develop those important adaptive abilities.
Absolutely. Those are key for their well-being and success.
Right.
Research shows that play really strengthens creativity, coping skills, and social skills.
So it's not just fun and games. It's building essential life skills.
Exactly.
Let's break down each of those three things, starting with creativity.
Okay.
How does building with blocks or playing with dolls make a kid more creative?
Well, think of play as a mental gym for creativity.
Ooh, I like that.
It lets kids experiment, think outside the box, come up with new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It even helps them have those aha moments of problem solving. And it encourages what we call divergent thinking.
Divergent thinking.
Yeah, coming up with lots of different solutions.
Okay, I love that mental gym for creativity. Can you give me an example of divergent thinking in play?
Sure. Imagine a child playing with blocks.
Right.
They might start with a tower, then turn it into a bridge, then a house, maybe even a spaceship, all with the same blocks.
Wow.
They're not limited to just one way of using them. That's divergent thinking.
That's really interesting. Okay, next is coping. I can see how play could help kids deal with big emotions.
Right.
But what's the research say about that?
Research actually shows that play acts as a sort of emotional pressure valve. It's a safe space for kids to process and regulate difficult emotions. Fear, anger, sadness.
Yeah.
They can practice dealing with stress and anxiety, which builds their resilience over time.
So play isn't just about letting off steam.
Right.
It's about learning how to manage those feelings.
Exactly.
What about social skills? How does play shape those?
Well, the fascinating thing is play doesn't just teach kids how to interact with others. It helps them understand what's going on in other people's minds.
Oh.
Yeah. Through pretend play, they step into different roles and see things from different perspectives.
Oh, that's cool.
Which helps them develop empathy and learn to read social cues.
It's like they're getting a crash course in social intelligence just by playing.
Exactly.
This leads us to play therapy, right? Where therapists intentionally use the power of play to help kids work through emotional or behavioral issues.
Precisely. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
There are different types of play therapy designed for different challenges.
So therapists have a whole toolbox of play-based techniques.
They do.
Can you tell me more about these different types of play therapy?
Well, there's insight-oriented therapy, which helps kids who are struggling with anxiety or internal conflicts understand their own feelings and behaviors. Then there's structure-building therapy. This is used for kids who may have difficulty forming healthy relationships.
Got it.
It focuses on developing their sense of self and building secure attachments.
Okay.
And finally, there's supportive psychotherapy, which is often used for kids who act out or show aggression. It gives them a safe space to express themselves and learn coping skills.
Wow. It's fascinating how targeted play therapy can be.
It is.
Now, one of the sources mentions this tool called the Affect and Play Scale, or APS.
Oh, yes, the APS.
It's used to measure what's happening during play. What exactly does it measure?
So the APS is a really insightful tool that researchers developed to assess different aspects of a child's play.
Okay.
It looks at things like how often they express emotions, the variety and intensity of their emotions, even the complexity of their fantasy and how they structure their stories.
So it's like peering into their inner world and seeing how they process their emotions.
Exactly.
But the big question is, does play therapy actually work?
Right.
What does the research say about its effectiveness?
Well, that's the crucial question. And the research is encouraging. There's evidence that play therapy can be especially effective for certain problems, like separation anxiety.
So if a child is terrified of leaving mom or dad,
Yeah,
play therapy might make a real difference.
that's what the research suggests. However, there's a catch.
Uh-oh.
Most of the research has been done in controlled lab settings,
Okay.
not in real-world clinical practice. So more research is definitely needed to understand how it works in those real-world settings.
So it sounds like it's not a magic cure, but it has real potential.
Exactly.
Are there any other important takeaways from the research?
The research highlights a crucial point. Play therapy works best for certain types of kids and problems, and it often works best when combined with other therapies.
So it's not a magic wand,
Right.
but it's a valuable tool.
Absolutely.
It sounds like understanding when and how to use play therapy is key.
It is. It's all about finding the right approach for each individual child.
That makes sense. It's like any therapy, it needs to be personalized now since most of the research has been done in labs. What's happening in real-world clinical practice? What are play therapists actually doing with kids?
Well, the research offers some insight into that. It includes some fascinating case studies.
Ooh, case studies.
Yeah, that show how play therapy can unfold in practice.
I always find this so helpful.
Me too.
What kind of kids were involved and how did play therapy help them?
Okay, so one case involved a young boy, we'll call him John,
Okay, John.
who was struggling with separation anxiety. He was terrified of going to school, clinging to his parents, constantly worried something bad would happen to them.
Poor kid. That must have been so stressful for him and his family.
It was.
So how did play therapy help him?
The therapist used different play materials like clay and puppets to encourage John to express his fears.
Okay.
At first, he mostly created non-aggressive animals with the clay.
Ah, interesting.
But over time, something really interesting happened.
What happened?
He started to make more aggressive animals, like alligators and swordfish, and even had them attack each other.
Oh, wow. So his anxiety started coming out in his play.
Yeah, you could say that, but it was actually a positive sign.
Really? So it seems like he was just getting more anxious and aggressive.
It was actually the opposite by letting those aggressive impulses out in the safe space of therapy.
Oh, I see.
He was able to process and regulate those difficult emotions.
So the clay became like a way for him to safely express those big feelings.
Exactly, and the therapist was there to help him make sense of it all. The therapist would make comments like, he's really angry or he's going to smash him, validating John's feelings and helping him understand that it's okay to feel anger.
It's so important to help kids understand that they're not bad for having those feelings.
It is.
But how did play therapy actually help him with the separation anxiety?
Well, the play gave us valuable insights into his fears. In one session, he put on a puppet show where a boy puppet was repeatedly attacked by creatures.
Oh, no.
But then the father puppet came to the rescue, taking him to the hospital and then on a fun mountain trip.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right.
It sounds like he was working through his fear of being separated from his parents and realizing they would always be there to protect him.
Exactly. And as his therapy continued, his play became more free and expressive. He showed less hesitation to express aggression.
Okay.
And even started to incorporate more positive emotions.
That's great.
Yeah, the research notes that he was eventually able to go back to school without any major issues.
That's a great outcome. It really shows how play can be this incredible tool for healing and growth.
It is.
Did the researchers look at any other cases?
They did. Another fascinating case was a boy, we'll call him Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Who was described as having a borderline personality.
Borderline, that sounds pretty serious for a child. What kind of challenges was he facing?
So Steve had experienced a lot of trauma early in life, and as a result, he had difficulty forming stable attachments. And regulating his emotions. He was very anxious and would swing between feeling intensely loving and hateful towards the therapist.
Oh, wow. So play therapy was used to help him build those secure attachments and manage those intense emotions.
Yes, that was one of the main goals of the therapy,
Yeah.
and play served as a powerful way for him to communicate and process his emotions.
That's fascinating. What were some of the key things that came up in his play therapy sessions?
One striking theme was Steve's need for control and safety. He would often engage in repetitive play,
Okay.
like opening and closing a blackboard flap again and again.
Huh.
The therapist saw this as his way of managing his anxiety and feeling in control of his environment.
It's like he was trying to create a sense of order in a world that felt chaotic and unpredictable.
Exactly. And the therapist used those observations from his play to help Steve understand his need for control and find healthier ways to cope with his anxiety.
That's so insightful. Did his play reveal anything else about his emotional struggles?
In another session, Steve drew a picture of a rabbit who was afraid to approach the therapist.
Huh.
When asked why the rabbit was afraid, Steve said, "He's afraid you will hurt him."
Wow, given his history of trauma, that seems like a very direct expression of his own fear of being hurt or abandoned.
You're right, through play, he was able to express those fears and explore them in a safe space.
Did the play therapy help him overcome those fears?
Over time, we saw a shift in his play. He began to express more positive emotions, and his play became more complex and imaginative.
It sounds like his play reflected his emotional growth and healing.
Exactly. The therapist was able to use those observations of his play to guide the therapy and help Steve develop better coping skills and a stronger sense of self.
These case studies are really interesting. They really show how powerful play therapy can be, but is it only for kids with serious emotional or behavioral problems?
That's a good question.
What about kids who are generally doing well? Can play help them too?
That's a great question, and it brings us to another key point from the research: the potential of play as a preventative measure.
Wait, preventative? You mean using play to help kids before they develop problems?
Exactly. The research makes a strong case for promoting play in all children's lives, not just those who are struggling.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about this preventative approach to play.
Okay, so the research suggests that play can act as a buffer against stress and anxiety, helping kids develop resilience and emotional intelligence from a young age.
So the more opportunities kids have for meaningful play, the better equipped they'll be to handle life's challenges.
Precisely. And this goes beyond just letting kids loose on a playground.
Oh.
It's about creating environments that encourage different types of play, from imaginative and creative play to social and cooperative play.
So it's like giving them a balanced play diet with all the essential play nutrients.
I like that.
But what about kids who aren't natural players?
Right.
Can we help them develop those play skills?
Absolutely. The research mentions several play training programs that have been shown to be effective in boosting kids' play abilities.
Oh, wow.
These programs often involve adults modeling different types of play and providing guidance and encouragement.
So it's like having a play coach
Exactly.
to help them level up their skills.
Yeah, and the benefits of these programs go beyond just improving play skills.
Oh, okay.
They've also been linked to improvements in other areas like problem solving, language development, and social skills.
It sounds like we should be promoting play as an essential part of every child's development, just like good nutrition and education.
I couldn't agree more. And this leads to another fascinating idea from the research, the concept of creating play centers in schools.
Play centers, you mean dedicated spaces just for playing. That sounds amazing.
Right. The idea is to have these designated areas within schools where kids can engage in a variety of play activities guided by trained adults
Okay.
who can facilitate their play and help them develop those essential skills.
It's like building a play gym for the mind.
Yes.
I love it. But if play is so important for all kids, not just those in therapy, what's the best way to incorporate it into our work with them? Are there any practical tips from the research?
The research highlights the importance of creating environments that are rich in play opportunities.
Okay.
That could mean providing a variety of play materials, setting aside dedicated time for play, and encouraging kids to explore different types of play.
So making play a priority,
Yes.
not just something that happens when there's time left over.
Exactly.
What about those of us who aren't trained play therapists?
Right.
Can we still use play in our work, even if we don't know all those specific techniques?
Absolutely. The principles of play therapy can be applied in a variety of settings, whether you're a teacher, a parent, a social worker, or anyone who works with kids. Understanding the power of play can improve your interactions with them.
Okay.
and support their development.
So it's not about becoming a certified play therapist overnight,
Right.
but about bringing those play-based principles into our everyday interactions with children.
Exactly. It's about observing their play, listening to their stories, and using play as a way to connect, communicate, and support their emotional well-being.
And as we do this, we're not alone. There's a growing body of research and resources to help us understand and harness the incredible power of play.
Well said. And by embracing play, we're not just nurturing children's development. We're fostering their joy, creativity, and resilience, things that will benefit them throughout their lives.
That's a beautiful thought. Play is not just about fixing problems, it's about nurturing the whole child. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to this idea of play centers in schools.
Okay.
It sounds amazing in theory, but how realistic is it?
It's definitely a bold vision, but one that's worth exploring.
Okay.
The research argues that making play centers part of the school system could have profound benefits for kids' overall development. Imagine a school where play is woven into the curriculum, not just relegated to recess.
I'm picturing it now, kids building elaborate structures in a STEM-focused play zone,
Yes.
putting on puppet shows to explore literature, or even role-playing historical events.
Exactly. It's about creating dynamic spaces where learning and play go hand in hand. And research suggests that this approach can boost academic performance, improve social emotional skills, and even reduce stress and anxiety in kids.
It makes you wonder why we haven't done this sooner, but I imagine there are challenges to making something like this happen on a large scale.
Of course, there are challenges. The research acknowledges them,
Okay.
like finding the space resources and train people to create and run these centers effectively.
Right.
But it also stresses that the potential rewards for children, schools, and society as a whole are huge.
It's a call to action. We need to shift our thinking and see play as an essential element in education, not just a frivolous activity.
Exactly. It's time to reimagine schools as places where children can learn, grow, and thrive through play.
This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening, from its role in shaping essential abilities to its potential as a preventative measure. And even a therapeutic tool. Play is so much more than just child's play.
It truly is a force to be reckoned with. And the more we understand about play, the better we can use its power to raise happy, healthy, and well-rounded kids.
So to all the parents, teachers, therapists, and anyone else who works with children, let's make play a priority.
Yes.
Let's create spaces where their imaginations can soar, their emotions can be expressed, and their spirits can thrive.
And as you witness the magic of play unfolding, remember to connect with your own sense of wonder and playfulness. After all, we're never too old to embrace the joy and transformative power of play.
That's a great reminder to our listener as you continue your work with children. We'll leave you with this thought. If play is so powerful, how can you create more opportunities for meaningful play in their lives? How can you weave play into their days both at home and in educational settings? We encourage you to consider this as you continue exploring the world of play. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and until next time, keep playing.
It really is amazing how much we can learn about a child just by observing their play.
It's like a secret language almost.
It is a secret language.
Yeah.
It reveals their inner world.
Yeah, and that's what makes play therapy so powerful. It
Yeah.
taps into that language and uses it to help kids heal and grow.
Exactly.
You mentioned that play therapy is most effective for specific types of kids and problems.
Yeah.
And that it often works best in combination with other therapies.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. So, for example, play therapy can be really helpful for kids who have experienced trauma.
Okay.
Trauma can make it so difficult for kids to express their feelings verbally, but through play, they can act out their experiences and work through those difficult emotions in a safe and non-threatening way.
That makes sense. It's like they're able to process those experiences without having to put them into words.
Exactly.
So powerful.
Play therapy can also be helpful for kids with anxiety, depression, behavioral problems. But it's important to remember that it's not a quick fix.
Right.
It takes time and patience to build trust and rapport with a child
Yeah.
and to help them feel comfortable enough to open up through play.
So you're saying that play therapy is a process,
Yes.
not a one-time event.
Precisely. And it's a process that requires a skilled and trained therapist who can understand the nuances of play and how to use it therapeutically.
You've mentioned the importance of creating environments rich in play opportunities.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, it can be as simple as providing a variety of age-appropriate toys and materials
Okay.
and giving kids the time and space to explore them freely. It's also important to encourage different types of play, from solitary play to social play, from structured play to unstructured play.
It sounds like balance is key.
It is, and it's also important to remember that play shouldn't feel like a chore.
Right.
It should be fun and enjoyable for kids. If they're not having fun, they're not going to be engaged, and they're not going to get the full benefits of play.
So how can we make sure play is fun and engaging for kids?
Right.
What are some things we can do to encourage them to play?
One of the best things you can do is simply get down on their level and play with them.
Yeah.
Show them that you're interested in what they're doing and let them lead the way. You can also provide prompts and suggestions, but avoid being too directive.
Okay.
The goal is to encourage their creativity and imagination, not to control their play.
So it's about being a playful partner,
Yeah.
not a play director.
Exactly. And remember to be patient. It may take some time for kids to warm up to you
Right.
and to feel comfortable enough to let their imaginations run wild.
Yeah.
But once they do, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. I love that. Now we've been talking a lot about the benefits of play for kids, but what about the benefits for adults? Can we benefit from play too?
Absolutely. Play isn't just for kids, it's important for adults too.
Yeah.
When we play, we tap into our creativity, we reduce stress, we connect with others, and we simply have fun.
So it's like a mental and emotional recharge.
Exactly. And it's something that we can all benefit from no matter our age.
I think that's a great note to end on. Play is essential for both children and adults. It helps us learn, grow, connect, and simply enjoy life. So let's all make a commitment to make play a priority in our lives.
I couldn't agree more now. Before we move on, I'd like to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
You were asking about how play therapy can be used in combination with other therapies.
Right.
I think it's important to emphasize that play therapy is often most effective when it's part of a comprehensive treatment plan.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for example, if a child is struggling with anxiety, play therapy might be used in conjunction with cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT can help kids identify and challenge their negative thoughts and beliefs, while play therapy can provide a safe and supportive space for them to practice new coping skills.
So the two therapies work together to address both the thoughts and the feelings associated with anxiety.
Exactly, and the same principle applies to other mental health conditions. Play therapy can be a valuable addition to a wide range of treatment approaches.
That's really helpful to know. So for our listener who is considering using play therapy as a resource, it sounds like it's important to think about how it might fit into a larger treatment plan.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right combination of therapies to meet the individual needs of each child.
I'm also curious about the role of parents and caregivers in play therapy.
Yeah.
How can they be involved in the process?
Parents and caregivers play a crucial role in play therapy.
Okay.
They're the experts on their children, and they can provide valuable insights into their child's strengths, challenges, and interests. They could also help reinforce the skills and strategies that their child is learning in therapy.
So it's a collaborative effort between the therapist, the child, and the parents.
Exactly. And when everyone is working together, play therapy can be incredibly effective.
That's really encouraging to hear. Now, I want to touch on something that we mentioned earlier, play deprivation.
Right.
You said that play is essential for healthy development. What happens when kids don't get enough opportunities to play?
Unfortunately, play deprivation is becoming increasingly common in our fast-paced, technology-driven world.
Yeah.
And it can have serious consequences for kids' physical, emotional, and social development.
Can you give me some examples of those consequences?
Sure. Kids who are deprived of play may have difficulty with social skills. They may struggle to make friends share, cooperate, and resolve conflicts.
Okay.
Emotional regulation. They may be more prone to anxiety, depression, and anger outbursts.
Wow.
Creativity and problem solving. They may have difficulty thinking outside the box and coming up with new ideas. Physical health. They may be more likely to be overweight or obese and to have problems with coordination and motor skills.
Wow. That's a pretty significant list.
It is.
It really highlights how crucial play is for so many aspects of development.
It does, and something we need to be aware of as parents, educators, and therapists.
Right.
We need to make sure that kids have ample opportunities to play, both at home and at school.
So what can we do to combat play deprivation?
There are a lot of things we can do here. Our few ideas: limit screen time.
Okay.
Encourage kids to engage in other activities like playing outdoors, reading, building, and create play-rich environments. Provide kids with a variety of toys and materials and give them the time and space to explore them freely.
Right.
This doesn't have to be expensive. Cardboard boxes, blankets, and pots and pans could be just as engaging as store-bought toys.
True.
Schedule playtime. Make playtime a regular part of your child's day, just like meals and bedtime.
Sure.
Be a play partner. Get down on your child's level and play with them.
Yeah.
Show them that you're interested in what they're doing and let them lead the way. Advocate for play. Talk to your child's teachers and school administrators about the importance of play. Encourage them to incorporate more playtime into the school day.
Yeah.
And to create play-rich learning environments.
Those are great suggestions. I think it's important to emphasize that play shouldn't feel like a chore for parents either.
I agree.
It should be something that you enjoy doing together.
Exactly. When parents are engaged and having fun, kids are more likely to be engaged and have fun too.
Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, which is the importance of observation in play therapy.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? What should therapists be looking for when they observe a child playing?
Observing a child's play can provide valuable insights into their inner world. Therapists look for a variety of things, including types of play. What kinds of play does the child engage in? Do they prefer solitary play or social play? Do they prefer structured play or unstructured play?
Okay.
Themes. What are the recurring themes in the child's play? Are there any patterns or symbols that stand out? Affect. How does the child express their emotions through play? Are they happy, sad, angry, anxious?
Okay.
Behaviors. How does the child behave during play? Are they withdrawn, aggressive, impulsive? Language. What kind of language does the child use during play? Do they use words to describe their actions, or do they rely more on nonverbal communication?
It sounds like there's a lot to pay attention to.
There is, but with practice, therapists develop a keen eye for observing play and understanding its meaning.
This has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I have a much better understanding of play therapy and how it can be used to support children's development.
I'm glad to hear that. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share one final thought with you.
Yeah.
And our listener play is a powerful tool for healing growth and connection. It's something that we can all benefit from no matter our age.
Right.
So let's make a commitment to make play a priority in our lives and in the lives of the children we care about.
I love that. Let's all go out and play. It's so true. We often forget how much kids teach us about ourselves just by watching them play.
It's true. They remind us to be present, to be curious, and to find joy in the simple things.
It's like they give us permission to tap back into that childlike sense of wonder that we often lose as adults.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder is so important for our creativity, our well-being, our overall happiness.
Speaking of wonder, I want to circle back to those play centers in schools. It's such a cool concept. What are some practical steps that schools could take to make this vision a reality?
Well, first and foremost, I think it requires a shift in mindset.
Okay.
We need to move away from the idea that play is just a frivolous pastime and recognize it as an essential part of learning and development.
It's like play is brain food.
Exactly. Once we've made that shift, we can start thinking about practical steps like designating space for play.
Okay.
This could involve creating dedicated play areas within classrooms, repurposing existing spaces like libraries or gymnasiums, or even building outdoor play spaces.
Cool.
We also need to think about providing a variety of play materials.
Right, like blocks and dolls and stuff.
Yes. Traditional toys like those, but also more open-ended materials like cardboard boxes, fabric scraps, and natural materials.
So it's about sparking their imaginations.
Exactly. And another important step is training staff.
Oh, yeah. Teachers need to be on board.
They do. Teachers and other school personnel need to be trained on how to facilitate play and create play-rich learning environments. This could involve professional development workshops, online courses, or even mentoring programs.
It sounds like a pretty big undertaking, but so worth it.
It is. And finally, we need to think about integrating play into the curriculum.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, play can be used to teach a wide range of subjects, from math and science to language arts and social studies.
I love that idea, is like bringing learning to life through play.
Exactly. It's about creating dynamic spaces where learning and play go hand in hand.
All those ideas are so fantastic, and it sounds like it's a collaborative effort.
It is.
That involves everyone in the school community.
Right.
Teachers, administrators, parents, and even the students themselves.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture of play that values and supports the power of play in education.
I'm also curious about the role of technology in play.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a world where screens are everywhere.
That's true.
How can we make sure that technology enhances play rather than replacing it?
That's a really important question. Technology can definitely be a valuable tool for learning and play. There's some amazing educational apps and games out there that can help kids develop a wide range of skills.
Oh, for sure.
But it's important to use technology mindfully and to make sure that it doesn't take over children's lives.
So it's about finding that balance,
Yes,
making sure that kids are getting enough real-world play experiences as well as some screen time.
exactly. And it's also important to be selective about the types of technology that we allow our children to use.
Right.
We want to choose apps and games that are educational, engaging, and age-appropriate.
That makes sense. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
Any final thoughts you want to leave with our listener who's considering bringing play therapy into their work?
I would say this: embrace the power of play. It's an incredible tool for helping children learn, grow, heal, and thrive. And remember, play isn't just for kids, it's for all of us. So take some time to play today and encourage the children in your life to do the same. You won't regret it.
I love that our deep dive today has really highlighted the magic of play. It shapes our kids' minds, helps them cope with challenges, and builds the foundation for healthy relationships. And as you, our listener, consider integrating play therapy into your work, remember the key takeaway. It's not just about the techniques, it's about understanding the incredible power of play itself. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep playing.